Have you ever heard that people with autism have no empathy, that they don't care? Well, I'm here to challenge this misconception and get you thinking about empathy from a different perspective. Hi, welcome to Autism-Talks. I'm Steve Bradford, a clinical nurse specialist with lived experience of autism. And in today's video, we're diving into a fascinating and important concept in autism research, the double empathy paradigm. Whether you're a parent, carer, professional, or simply somebody wanting to learn more about autism, then this video is for you. So stick around. By the end of this talk, you'll have a clearer understanding of what empathy really means in the context of autism. So let's get started. So what exactly is the double empathy paradigm? And how is this relevant to autism? Well, before we can understand this, let's first talk about empathy. What is empathy? Well, empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person, to be able to put yourself in their shoes and see the situation and understand their feelings and emotions from their perspective. Traditionally, much of the research on autism and empathy has focused on autistic people and their perceived lack of empathy towards neurotypical people. But the double empathy paradigm, introduced by Dr. Damien Milton in 2012, flips this view on its head. The double empathy paradigm suggests that empathy is not just a one-way street. It's a two-way interaction and can be seen from two perspectives. It proposes that both autistic and non-autistic people can struggle to empathise with each other. And this mutual misunderstanding, rather than being a deficit in the autistic person, might be due to a mismatch in the way that different minds perceive and respond to the world. So let's explore why this might happen. Well, autistic people often experience the world in ways that differ from neurotypical individuals. No one experience or perspective is right or wrong, they're just different. Sensory sensitivities, different social cues and communication styles can all contribute to how emotions are expressed or understood. For example, an autistic person might not recognise that someone is upset because they don't show typical facial expressions, or they may be overwhelmed by sensory input, making social interactions harder. And on the flip side, neurotypical people may struggle to understand why an autistic person acts in a certain way, perhaps appearing aloof or disengaged, when in fact they're just processing information differently. And this results in miscommunication and frustration on both sides. See my video, Apples and Androids, Autistic Communication and Interactions, for an overview of research that shows autistic people communicate better with autistic people, and that the struggle comes when peer groups are mixed in neurotype. The implications of the double empathy paradigm are profound. It shifts the focus from blaming the autistic individual for a lack of empathy to recognising that communication breakdowns can happen for anyone when there's a difference in perspective. In real-world scenarios, this means we must acknowledge and adapt to these differences, whether that's in schools, workplaces, or at home. In the image here, what do you see? Well, if you show this image to people without autism, those considered neurotypical, they'll likely describe a scene where there's an upset woman and she's surrounded by her concerned colleagues. She's clearly upset, they're mirroring her posture, she's sobbing, and they offer her support, a tissue, a glass of water, a perfect empathic response to a colleague's distress. But if you show this image to an autistic person, you might get a different response. They will likely describe the woman as being distressed and upset, and that these are concerned colleagues, and so far so good. Where's the issue? But that's where the similarities are likely to end. They're likely to tell you that the colleagues are crowding around the lady and that she needs some space, some time to process. The colleague on the left is touching her shoulder, and to an autistic person who may dysregulate from a sensory perspective and become hypersensitive to touch when distressed, they would suggest that this is inappropriate. An autistic person would likely in this situation want to be left alone, given some space to process their emotions and try and regulate their senses. Both responses are appropriate, and both are powerfully empathic. Two polarised perspectives. So rather than thinking about people with autism having a lack of empathy, we should be thinking that there are two perspectives on empathy, and that both of these are legitimate responses to a situation. The key is knowing the preferred response for the person in the situation. We need to know how we can create an environment where both autistic and non-autistic people can better understand each other. This involves patience, communication, and a willingness to recognise that both parties have something valuable to offer. So here are some practical tips on how we can apply the double empathy paradigm in real life. 1. Encourage open dialogue. Creating open and honest communication between autistic and non-autistic people is essential. If you're a parent, carer, or professional, don't be afraid to ask questions about how the person feels and what they need. It's about creating a space where both sides feel heard. Adapt your approach. Number 2. Recognise that non-verbal cues, facial expressions, and tone of voice may not be easily understood by an autistic individual. It's important to adapt your communication. Use clearer language, visual supports, or even written instructions if needed. 3. Be patient and compassionate. Empathy is a process that takes time. Be prepared for misunderstandings. Approach the person with patience. And remember, it's not about one side being right or wrong. It's about finding a way to connect. 4. Training and awareness. For professionals and carers, training on neurodiversity and empathy can make a significant difference. The more we understand about how autistic people perceive the world, the better equipped we are to support them. And 5. Less is often more. For an autistic person, less is often more. The double empathy paradigm also opens up new avenues for research. By shifting the focus, we can move away from deficit-based models of autism and focus more on mutual understanding. More studies, more discussion, and more awareness to truly understand the complexities of empathy and autism that are driven by people with autism. It's not just about autistic people adjusting to the world or what neurotypical people can do to support people with autism. It's about everyone, autistic and neurotypical alike, learning to navigate this world together. Empathy is a powerful tool for connection, and the double empathy paradigm shows us that it's not a one-way street. By embracing the idea that empathy is a mutual responsibility, we can foster deeper understanding and compassion for everyone, regardless of neurotype or neurological differences. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell for more content on autism and neurodiversity, and please leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the double empathy paradigm, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.